You're listening to Startup Stories on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And what a lovely idea to listen to stories, right? Because we are trying to see if we can make you listen to the beating heart of the startup. The idea that made people take that leap of faith and literally put their bank accounts where their thoughts are. And today, of course, it pleases me no end to welcome the people behind Little Farm. I've been a consumer of their products, and it has added much to my palette, so to speak, quite literally. And today we are trying to see if we can spread that palette of thought in front of you. We've got the wonderful Niharika and Aditya with us. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. How do you describe? I mean, since we're becoming increasingly a society that's obsessed with labels, how do you label yourselves?
So yeah, Little Farm, if I talk about us, we are preservative free, 100% preservative free and natural. And we don't use any artificial preservatives in all our pickles. Like, I'm happy to know that you're already a consumer.
Oh, yes.
And we do pickles of all kinds, and we use quality ingredients which we grow at our own farms in Madhya Pradesh and process it further. So by quality ingredients, I mean pink salt, cold pressed mustard oil, and sun dry the pickles to give you the taste that, ghar olden times, ghar ka achar. So that's the aim.
Matlab, even the wonderful whiff of that chadar needs to come in, no?
Exactly. So we sun dry everything.
And there's a reason why you don't call yourself organic, right?
So right now we don't have the certifications yet, even though we do grow all our fruits and vegetables in an organic manner at our farm in Madhya Pradesh.
Right.
But once we have the certifications, we will obviously label it. Like you said, labeling is very important and has to be correct.
Especially if it's got the right kind of government approvals.
Exactly.
It's very, very important.
Exactly.
But tell me, where did the story begin? Where did the Little Farm as an idea have a seed?
So, I actually come from a marketing and PR background. I was in a 9-to-5 corporate job. Tired of it. Wanted to do something of my own.
Sure.
And I quit my job one day without knowing what my next step is. And so my dad used to make pickles at home.
Okay.
Give them left, right and center to all the family and friends. These were
Right.
actually my grandmom's recipes. And once she passed away, he just took it upon himself to revive these family recipes. And he used to gift it left, right and center. And I was just like, your relatives keep calling you, asking for it. There is definitely a market for this.
For sure.
So I was like, let's just bottle it and sell it. So we did one farmer's market. I think you've also seen us at farmer's markets before.
Yeah.
And to my surprise, we didn't even have proper labels that time. That time we started with a brand name called Papa's Pickles because that was the first thing that came to my head.
Alliterations are so seductive, aren't they? Papa's Pickles. Okay, yeah.
So, and we sold out. We sold out with every jar that we took. So I realized there is a market opportunity because,
Sure.
what's available in the market is factory made. It does not have the same appeal or taste as homemade pickles.
For sure. Absolutely.
So that's where I would say the first seed was put, and of course, then a lot of hard work convincing my brother to quit his job and join me. So all that followed up.
But is it only pickles that you deal in, or are there other things?
So our core is pickles. We of course only do pickles, but we do cold pressed mustard oil because our customers came back to us. They tasted the product, they tasted the oil that goes in the pickles, and on customers' request, we do it in very limited batches. But thankfully, whatever we do sells out very fast.
Of course.
So just pickles, chutneys. We do a very nice mango chutney we recently came up with, and cold pressed mustard oil.
That it's getting very difficult to ask questions because the mouth is getting filled up. But listen, and I'm making the air quotes here because this is radio and people can't see me. The whole organic scene, a lot of people thumb their noses at it, saying that it's a fad, and there are also a lot of cynical people saying that we don't really know what's going into it, etc. Did you have to face that initial cynicism from within, without, anywhere?
No, definitely there is a lot of market education, I would say, that needs to take place when you are selling a product like this. Thankfully, we're doing pickles and nothing too technical, so that makes the job easier.
Sure.
But yes, there is cynicism in that sense. But I feel like in India, especially where our roots are so rich, our history goes back so strong, organic maybe not, you can call it a fancy word, but think of it what your grandmom used to consume.
Sure, exactly. And I think it's also the fact that, it reminds you of home, does it not? I mean, there's always that market for something that will be like home for us.
Yeah,
no?
nostalgic is the sweet spot for us. My aim is like, if you try a pickle, this should remind you of something you've had in your childhood. So that is what we sort of aim for. Of course, organic and all the frills come later.
And of course, the fact that you didn't necessarily even have labels, and it was purely the taste that got it going. You think tastes seem to have changed after the pandemic a little, because considering that you were also there pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, have you seen a change in the market somehow?
I think Aditya should take that. The sales guy.
Sure.
So if I talk about firstly platforms, so pre-pandemic we were a offline brand wherein Niharika trying to build her 500 first customers, sampling the product, and post-pandemic we definitely got a push with the consumer getting more user-friendly online. A 50 to 60-year-old person is also now ordering online.
Sure.
So that definitely makes life easier being a digital-first brand.
Right.
It opens a lot of doors. But yes, in terms of taste and education, it has helped.
But has it also meant the competition has certainly gotten a lot keener, no?
100%, because if I talk about pre-pandemic, I would say we were one of the very few brands who were trying to focus on homemade pickles. Now there are a lot of people doing some very good work. I would like to compliment their work as well. There are housewives selling on Amazon. They're selling a very good product.
Absolutely.
So that is something that is always out there. So obviously, but what differentiates us is we want to give homemade tasty pickles, but at convenience. That's what we're looking to do at scale.
For sure. But after having derided the Excel sheet, it is only right that we also ask you about that Excel sheet. I mean, what's the funding scene like?
You named my corporate life in a sentence. The whole Excel sheet.
The prison of the... Those were the four walls.
Exactly. Exactly.
But you broke through.
Thankfully. But yeah, now we're in the funding scene, like you said. So out from one thing into the other.
Sure.
So the funding scene, to be honest, we were bootstrapped for quite some time. But when I realized, we're building an FMCG brand, you do need deep pockets for it. And to afford someone like my brother, I had to go out and get funding.
Of course. And you asked him to leave his job. So you needed to give him the money, no?
Exactly. So that was the idea. We did approach a few VCs, and thankfully we got backed by a VC called 100X in Mumbai. So there was a lot of pitching, and one pitch went through and we got funded through 100X, and thankfully we've been scaling ever since, building our team further.
Right. There's also, this word that is being thrown around, and that's why I need to throw it at you as well, which is the funding winter. Everyone's talking about the funding winter, and there's people who are really pulling back, etc. And food seems to be something that a lot of people had started with. As you said, in the pandemic, there were people who were doing it on their own. So were there hurdles because of that?
Thankfully, we did get our funding maybe before the funding winter started.
Okay.
So maybe a little lucky on that note.
Around autumn is...
around autumn. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to use this again. Of course, there has been a little... I would say a tight knit strap on the funds, which we are hearing in the startup circle. But I feel like if you think of a long-term vision and if you think of building a great company that's going to last for a few years, then this shouldn't be a hurdle.
And there's also the other thing that you're really taking care of, walking the talk, which is that fancy word which everyone throws around, which is sustainability and your responsibility towards your immediate environment. You've told us that you've got your farms are in MP, but those farms are populated very nicely, I'm told, yes?
Thankfully we have a 40-acre space where we're growing everything, and everything around is basically unpolluted. The water that we're taking from the river right next to it is not contaminated at all. Of course, there's no pollution in Madhya Pradesh.
Sure.
Apart from that, we're growing everything without any pesticides. But what I take immense pride is in we employ about 13 women around from those villages. And again, they are supporting their families with, what work they're doing here.
Sure. So what's the scaling bit? Because that is the seduction of scaling up is usually inversely proportional to the quality, I'm told. Is that something that you have in mind, the speed of scaling?
Yes, of course, we do want to scale fast, just like any other brand. But again, keeping the quality in mind, something that we've been very conscious about since the beginning.
Sure.
When we got our first 500 customers, we've tried and maintained the same quality, or in fact improved from there on. So I feel the product has to be on point, because if it is not on point, you can't scale no matter how much money you pump in,
Right.
no matter how many ads you run on
Yep.
online platforms.
Sure.
But it will not work for you beyond a point. Till the time you don't get the repeat customer, it's all about that. So
Sure.
we take pride. We have a 30% repeat customer rate on our website, so which we want to take up to 50% in the near future.
Sure.
So that is something we work towards highly.
The other devil's advocate thing that people usually throw around is the fact that today marketing has become very important. The whole imaging has become very important. You seem to be focusing entirely on the product. Is there also, that seduction of doing the marketing bit and getting the imaging and all of that as well?
So that is something that we obviously play around with. We want to be connected to our consumers.
Sure.
We try and post almost every day on our social handles. So we've we've try and have our own take on everything.
Right.
जैसे अचार पे आपका क्या विचार है? Things like this.
Okay.
We do our own things in a different way. We experiment, and certain things work very well, certain things don't, but we take that as a learning. So we do keep experimenting. You got to put yourself out there as a brand.
For
But
sure.
number one is having a product right. These things come to number two, then comes the money, all of these things in that order.
That taste is that of success, no, Niharika? Does it feel good?
Definitely it feels good that the biggest compliment for me is when I met you and you told me you've tried the product.
Yes.
So whenever
yes.
I meet someone and if they know of my brand or they've tried the products, that just makes my day.
Hannah, I'm sure it must be very satisfying to know that all the effort is actually culminating into that one person saying, ah! Hannah?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what, when I sleep peacefully, that's the main thing.
Yeah, especially after having quit a corporate job and made your brother quit the corporate job as well. The brother is here as well. Aditya, you can't see him on radio, but he's been talking the important stuff, But listen, we're living in a world of social media, as we said, and it is only right that we get you to do a listicle for us about the 3 or 5 things that you've learned and you'd like others who are taking their first tentative steps into the big wide world of startups to remember or forget.
So I think the major one that has been for me is, I used to be scared to try things. And once I started this, I realized I have to try and fail to learn.
Sure.
So, for anyone doing something out there, one is, if you have an idea, try it. You won't know if it works unless you don't go ahead and try it.
For sure.
And if you are already in a startup, don't be scared to fail. Like, there have been things we've done which haven't worked. There have been things which have paid off. So there will always be a trade-off in that sense. So that is one major learning for me in that sense. Second, I've learned to put myself out there much more. I feel like I was a conscious person or a reserved person and used to think, what would the other person think of me? So for me, I'm not mentioning maybe the typical startup or business learnings, but more of how I've grown as a person.
Sure, absolutely. So that's 2 points. Aditya, what are yours?
For me, for example, if I talk about any channel, if I talk about any FMCG brand, they're looking at online, offline. I believe you need to do high pressure tests, look at a certain geography, focus on over there. Say if you want to try offline, pick up 10 stores, do the test over there, and then, take those learnings. All 10 stores will not work, or 10 geographies will not work that you may try and open new cities, but you need to kind of do high pressure tests. So again, try it, but have your unit economics in place before you do that. You don't want to burn money all the way. Again, if you go aggressive, say in the month of June in marketing, July maybe pull back a little, or have quarterly plans. Don't make plans out of your head that अच्छा अब ये भी कर लेते हैं, ये मूड कर रहा है. So that is one thing I would emphasize on. Try it, but keep your spends in check.
Sure.
Secondly would be again I would like to take from what Niharika said. Put yourself out there. Something that I personally didn't do earlier. You as founders are the best brand ambassadors for your brand.
Sure.
Something you can't let go of.
And that's true. I mean, the way you can speak about something that you are passionate about, no one else can. So that's an important thing. Put yourself out there. And also, there's really no alternative to actually hitting the ground and seeing how people react, no? that was the point. And that's the Little Farm Co, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to find out more, all you need to do is search for Little Farm and you'll find it. It's on almost all platforms. This has been absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much for coming in, and of course for making products that are memories more than just food on the tip of the tongue. So wonderful job, and thank you very much for sharing so generously of your experiences.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I've got a great few taglines from you in this session, which I'm going to use.
Yes, please, quite generously, but just tell people to listen to 94.3 Radio 1. That should work for us.
That's the channel I listen to, so yes.
Wonderful. So now the doors of the Mutual Appreciation Society are open. We shall take a short little break and come right back right here on 94.3 Radio 1. The music's on, so if you don't, you know who'll miss out, right?